Narratives, the element of air rules concepts. Narratives consists of concepts lumped together to create meaning. Similar to how chords and melodies are created by assembling tunes with each other, the meaning of a text, though, is what's hidden between these concepts. To understand the message is the same thing as to rejoin/unite the concepts to its original and intended structure. To point out the same reference again, meaning is to be found in the holistic image. There is a Buddhist story describing how a group of followers of Buddha looked at his finger pointing to the moon, and they all started worship the finger of Buddha, not realizing that the moon, the reference, was his intended focus. For the same reason, the searcher for meaning starts to dig into stories, narratives, and many fall into the same trap as these Buddhist followers who once started to worship Buddha's finger. On their journey for truth, they lose their way, and get stuck in spells presented to them by the Prince of Air. One of my favorite philosophers, Friedrich Nietzsche, wrote, "The drawn line puts a spell on the chicken gets paralyzed by the context, and trapped into the story, losing contact with what is real, or maybe better described as losing contact with what is existential. The conceptual world is not real. This is actually Satan's dream." Satan is Saturn, ruler of earth element. And Saturn in Greek is Chronos, the crown, time. Satan is the shadow of creation, the spirit who lives inside of the creation itself, the focal point of consciousness released by the Creator. Air is about control, and to one who knows how to use it, it's a great tool to deceive and take advantage of others in the physical dimension, to have success. This is how Satan tricks you. He tempts you with treasures like wealth, pleasure, and fame if you chose to dwell in his realm. The creation. Someone who follows the conceptual, left brain hemisphere, the ego, the details, Satan's temptations, sooner or later becomes fragmented, and lose contact with the holistic told by the heart/fire. Lost in the labyrinth of mind, he'll become depleted of his soul, his spiritual currency becomes bankrupt. And he becomes one of the fragmented shadows which dwells inside the creation, insisting of being your creator. The true meaning of anything is existential. The goal in searching for truth is realizing nothing is true. Concepts are merely attempts to communicate something experienced. But most of us gets trapped into these stories, and only drift further away out in the periphery, losing contact with truth, which actually is source. An experience, in the existential dimension. You are the origin of all these stories, as well as the consumer of them. All concepts originated from you, and what we call reality is just a story, an artifact that continues to grow until it meets itself and can't expand any longer. Then the narrative starts to contract. This is where we are now collectively. And only those who will realize this and detach from creation itself, is the ones who will be saved from the collapse that is coming. Air divides, while fire unites. As long as you consume more and more complex stories, you drift away from source, and you become air. You start to identify with the prince. The spiritual dimension is inside of you, while air belongs to something outside of you, the created and not the creator. The created is the backdrop from where the creator understands himself, a mirror. Opposites constitute each other. Light gets its value against darkness, pleasure against pain, soft against hard. Star Wars and Darth Vader, Dark Water? I am your father, Luke. Somehow Darth Vader is right, but who came first? The creator or the created? The question is rhetorical. Darth Vader is the first, the alpha, the strong, hard, herd. The prince is right, but he is not light. Compare R and L, where the right side of the body is the strong, while the left side is the beautiful, the subtle. Though this is cross-connected in the brain, so left is always right. The prince resides in the left brain hemisphere, and he's always right. To be right only means having the power, by owning the narrative, but at what price? Everything you gain in the external is paid for with the internal, with spiritual currency, i.e. fire and water, your heart and your emotions, the glue that holds you together, your inner 0 point from which all is measured and gets its value. Maybe we all need to do the journey out and crash in the periphery. To get to know yourself, you need to lose yourself. The psychotic drowns in the same waters in which the mystic swims with delight. Joseph Campbell, may the source be with you.